Hey everybody, what's up? This is Word here, and I'm going to be bringing you a PvP, and this is going to be a Heart of the Swarm PvP. We're getting right into it with this music. Damn, this is what happens when you enable continuous music. You know what? I'm okay with it. Introducing our players in the lower left, the blue Protoss. He is MaNa, and his opponent in the upper right, it is Meet Your Maker's KroLu. Now, this replay is from Team Liquid. Meet Your Makers posted a replay pack from 4 of their players, Phoenix, Ares, KroLu, and one other one I'm forgetting, and I apologize, but you can check that out on Team Liquid. If I actually remember, I will put the thread in the description of this video. But if you want some of these replays, there's Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty in there, and I'm looking forward to this game. Of course, very high level. I mean, obviously, he's getting matched up against MaNa. There's other high-level players in there, too. And not to take anything away from KroLu, it's obviously rather easy to get overshined when you're playing against someone who is, you know, this well-renowned. MaNa, easily one of the best Protoss in the world. Let's see how KroLu comes up against him. This is a Heart of the Swarm game. I was saying before I wanted to do much more Heart of the Swarm content, so this should be a start to almost exclusive Heart of the Swarm content, I'm hoping, although the beta will be taken down in just a couple weeks, well, I guess more like a month. March 1st, I believe, it goes down. So I'm going to have to cast as much as I can. I hope you guys are okay with that. I'm going to get as many games up as possible. And it's still a learning process, so apologies if my analysis is a little bit shy. I haven't been playing as much Heart of the Swarm as I should. I have been watching quite a bit, but PvP is something I'm very much interested in, hoping that it won't elude me too much here. We're going to see what these guys are going for. Right now, we just have gases going up a little bit quicker for MaNa, we see, and KroLu doesn't appear to be particularly worried about proxies at all. He might be scouting for proxies after Cybernetics Core. We do see a lot of players do that. MaNa going to be coming in here with his probe, and he didn't actually scout for proxies either. So either they've fallen out of favor in PvP, these guys maybe are a little bit meta, they've seen each other a lot, and know the other doesn't like to cheese too much, or they just got a little bit lazy. We're going to have to see exactly how that turns out. I mean, in more than any matchup, I would say PvP is where cheese plays a huge role. It's not necessarily something to be frowned upon as much. Proxy 2 gates, cannon rushes, these things, it's a really big part of the strategy. You're actually going to see a Manor pylon from MaNa as he lays that down in the middle line. Actually manages to trap 3 probes of KroLu in there, significantly reducing mining time, as a matter of fact. And in fact, you know, he's just going to cancel it, get 25 minerals back. Might not even cancel it, as a matter of fact. But if he canceled it, I'd say it was well worth it. And yeah, he does cancel it, so that was definitely a good trade there. Very hard to lay that pylon down. I mean, it's almost purely luck if you can get that timing. And if you don't get 3 probes, it might not even be worth it. But that's pretty clever by MaNa. Meanwhile, we do have 2 gas for KroLu, and MaNa is going up to 3 here. So let's see what these guys decide to go for. We do see a lot of Mothership Core aggression in the new PvP. You come up with like a single Zealot 2 Stalkers and a Mothership Core, and usually you can recall out of there if you need to, or pretty much just run away, as they won't have that many more units than you out. Looks like KroLu does manage to get rid of MaNa's probe, so MaNa's scouting is going to be done for now. And if we take a look at KroLu's vision, he hasn't scouted MaNa at all. We're going to see what he does. Looks like he's going directly into Stargate. What are we going to see from MaNa? He does have 2 gas. There's going to be a tech choice pretty soon. This isn't really an expansion-based build, unless you're going incredibly sentry heavy. But generally, of course, you're going to see some kind of tech before that. But oh, wow, never mind. He's actually going to go right into a Nexus. Didn't see the mineral buildup from MaNa there. This is going to be pretty interesting. Of course, with the Mothership Core, you have a lot of defensive capability, and the cannon is pretty good. I believe it's called Purify or something like that. I'll have to check it out once the Mothership Core is out for one of these players. But it's basically the DPS of a photon cannon, which is actually pretty good, and of course has 13 range, so it's relatively easy to defend. And it lasts for 60 seconds, so even if your opponent backs away to wait for the cannon to wear off, that gives you, it could be 30 seconds, but either way you get more time to prepare. And here's the Mothership Core, so why don't we take a look. It's photon overcharged, and does last 60 seconds, so that's a lot of time to warp into more units and get a proper defense up. We see that KroLu is starting with Phoenixes and not going directly into Oracles, and I do like this quite a bit, actually. Because with Oracles, if your opponent gets a single Phoenix, you're pretty much countered. The Phoenix will chase down the Oracle, it will die. Phoenixes are still very useful, even if your opponent doesn't go Oracles, and if he happens to go Oracles, you are pretty much not going to suffer any damage. It's not hard to chase them down with the Phoenixes, as I was saying earlier. So I definitely like this from KroLu. Phoenixes are a strategy that is certainly going to be able to carry over into PvP, especially considering that they can pick off the Mothership Core as well relatively easily if it's undefended, which is actually a pretty solid investment. 100 minerals, 100 gas, and a lot of spells that you don't wish to lose. Now we see, of course, Hallucination. You don't need to research in Heart of the Swarm. He's going to be coming up here with a Phoenix and getting a Scout on his opponent. The Nexus for MaNa quite a bit earlier. In fact, it has finished by about the time his has started. started. And now we see a pair of Phoenix coming in here, and he's going to go right for this Mothership Core. It's kind of a big, vulnerable floating basketball. Doesn't want to lose a Phoenix for it, though. The trade there would not be particularly good. Of course, one of the benefits of the Mothership Core is that the longer it's out, the more energy it builds up. So picking it off is definitely very nice, and he already did do some damage to those hit points. So if he can sweep in with those Phoenixes again, we just might see a dead Mothership Core for MaNa. KroLu going to be very active with these Phoenixes in the meanwhile, and he's going to be moving into the mineral line. That looks like he managed to pick off 2 of the workers on gas, and oh my god, that poor probe did die at the hands of the Phoenix, and we now have a total of 4 Phoenix out for KroLu, and it looks like he has stopped producing them for the moment. His Nexus is going to finish very soon. These undefended probes at the Natural will be picked off. Now, what MaNa did here, of course, he expanded very early. This is pretty much one of the best things you can do against Phoenix builds, especially in Heart of the Swarm. In Wings of Liberty, when somebody goes Phoenix, they see you expand early, they can kind of just add a 4th gate and come and kill you. It's very, very hard to defend. But in Heart of the Swarm, with the Mothership Core and those added defensive capabilities, that sort of build isn't going to work particularly well. At least it won't be as easy. Certainly still possible, but MaNa's going to be able to get away with this expansion. We see that he's ahead by 5 Harvesters, even though quite a few have been killed. 8 workers, as a matter of fact, killed by KroLu at the moment. But with that early Nexus, he's able to make up for that. Meanwhile, the Robotics Bay is on the way, so he's almost certainly going to be moving into Colossi. When there's Phoenix on the field, it's unlikely you're going to be going for a Warp Prism, because pretty much as soon as you reveal it, it's going to die if you reveal it by warping into your opponent's main. The Phoenix is going to sweep back here for KroLu. We don't have any gas at the Natural for MaNa yet, which is interesting. Especially going directly into Colossi. He's definitely going to want some of that gas. We can see he's a little bit starved at this moment, not going to be able to afford Colossi either. Meanwhile, it looks like KroLu is going to be going for a Sky Toss composition, having added in a single Void Ray. We have a second on the way, and this is definitely one of the new metas in Heart of the Swarm. Void Ray is kind of replacing Colossi in a lot of matchups. Of course, that not to say Colossi are obsolete. They're still very useful. MaNa targeting the weakened Phoenix. Not quite going to get it, though. Does escape with, I believe, just a 1 shot left. Yeah, 9 HP. And now the macro is just going. And, you know, PvP in this regard hasn't changed very much. Stay on 2 bases, get a decent army up, really only expand when your opponent expands. It looks like MaNa's going to be coming out here with aggression. He's bringing the Mothership Core, of course, there's no reason not to, and this does allow him to recall. So if he can possibly swoop in there, pick off a Void Ray, and recall back, that is actually a really huge trade for him. And the Void Ray production is going to continue for KroLu. MaNa pretty much going for a standard PvP army with the exception of this Mothership Core. Got to be very careful to keep that guarded, though. With Phoenix on the field, it can get picked off very easily. Now, is KroLu going to see this pressure coming up? The Phoenix says, yes, okay, they are going to come in here and see. Got to be very careful, though. One of them is very wounded, and it can get picked off rather quickly. Looks like these rocks are going to be torn down pretty quickly as well, and how is KroLu going to defend? Well, of course, this area is very susceptible to Time Warp. Units will get slowed down, and there is a Nexus down here, so he can cast the Photon Overcharge on it. Phoenix is going to try to go in here, look for a window, maybe pick off the Sentry, try to take some shots at the Mothership Core. MaNa does have a single Colossus here, so he is going to be able to break any force fields that get laid down. And of course, he can use Time Warp himself as well as Recall. He does have enough energy for both of those spells. He's going to be coming in. The Guardian Shield does go up. Force Fields go down, trapping in some of the Zealots from KroLu. And there goes the Time Warp, making sure any reinforcing units from the ramp will get taken down. The Void Rays, however, have been activated, and they will focus down a lot of units very quickly. It looks like all of them are still alive. One of them is taken down, now down to 1. And this attack from MaNa, I think it's going to get held off, though. The Phoenix is actually getting a bunch of free shots at these Colossi. And, of course, the reinforcements from KroLu, especially from the robotics facility, are going to tear apart the Stalkers. He did manage to cast Photon Overcharge on that Nexus. It does have itself a kill. Phoenix goes down. We have some reinforcing Stalkers from MaNa, but with 2 Immortals from KroLu and the Immortal from MaNa going down, it looks like he should be able to hold up this attack very well. If we take a look at the units lost tab, we see that MaNa is very much so behind. Of course, losing that expensive Colossus, a lot of Stalkers, and an Immortal. Not the best trade for him. Now, KroLu did lose a few Void Rays there, but he's able to remake them a little bit quicker than Colossi actually do come out. If we take a look at the... Never had to compare these build times before. Actually, is it the same? 60 seconds. No, okay, Colossi are 75. Okay, so a little bit quicker. He's going to be able to remax. Do we have any upgrades for either of these players? It looks like actually none on the way, none on the field. Do we even have a Forge? No, we do not, but we do have a third base going down here for KroLu. And I'm not sure how much MaNa was relying on that timing attack, because no Forge for him, of course, no Forge for KroLu, so he's not going to be too far behind, but generally you do want that Forge so you can get those upgrades, start moving toward a more powerful late-game composition. Still, these gases in the Natural are not saturated. So he looks like he wanted to go for that single Colossus timing attack, and it, you know, it almost worked, but the new powerful Void Rays, the Phoenix is coming in, getting all those shots. It ended up going quite well for KroLu, and now he's pretty much going to be able to take his third base without fear of retribution. The army supply massively in the Protoss player from Meet Your Maker's favor. And his Nexus does still stand. The immortal count is very high here for KroLu. If we take a look at MaNa's standing army, he's got 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, a Colossus, and a Mothership Core. Not very intimidating, so I actually do like this from KroLu. He knows he killed a huge army there, even the reinforcements of MaNa getting warped in and taken out. So he has an army advantage. He's going to try to use that to his advantage and come out here and put a little bit of pressure on MaNa. Definitely deny any possibility of a third base. Do we have an observer on the field? Yes, we do. 1 for KroLu. Looks like it's sticking with his army, though, so this is going to be a poke to see if he has a third base, and also try to deny it. That would probably be the best sort. Looks like he's just going to pull back a little bit here. We have a single hallucinated Phoenix going to be coming in to scout the third, and MaNa is going to see that, so he's going to have to make a decision. Do I take a third of my own, or do I just try to power in and go for an attack? And it looks like Phoenix versus hallucinated Phoenix. The regular Phoenix is going to win every time. Every single time, and you can bet money on that. Now, we see the +1 weapons are going down here for KroLu. Oh, I can click on that now. That is so cool. And we do see a Forge has been added here as well. This is so he can get cannons and, of course, upgrades as well. The Phoenix is going to be coming in, trying to do a little bit of damage. Looks like we see a total of 15 workers killed in this whole game, and now KroLu does have a lead of 12 probes. However, he is down to 1 Phoenix, but he has quite a few Void Rays. He's actually producing them 2 at a time now. 5 Void Rays in the air, and they're going to be particularly good against the Colossi. They're actually going to be particularly good against the Stalkers as well. And combating Void Rays is going to be really tough. However, the Phoenix count for MaNa is getting up there. He's actually going up to 3 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon in the corner, and I definitely like this very much. If he wants to counter the massive Skytoss army of his opponent, he can't catch up on the Void Ray count quite yet. His opponent has an economic advantage, and of course is producing out of the Stargate longer. What he can do, though, is produce a ton of Phoenixes and try to counter that, and he's probably going to be getting the Anion Crystals upgrade at the Fleet Beacon as well to make those Phoenix a little bit more powerful. And Phoenixes in mass will absolutely destroy Void Rays. Of course, Void Rays DPS comes from, you know, the damage over time. They don't charge up anymore, but they're still not very useful if they don't live very long. And the Phoenixes taking them out will be very good. You don't even have to focus fire because, of course, the Phoenix are air-to-air units. We do see Air Armor +1 coming out for KroLu, and this is actually going to help versus the Phoenix quite a bit. Of course, they have those 2 attacks, which means they'll be suffering double damage, or double damage reduction, I should say. And, ooh, did KroLu actually scout those 3 Stargates? Oh, he did. And I think he saw the Phoenixes as well. Not actually 100%, but 3 Stargate Void Ray out of 2 bases is really unlikely, so a high Phoenix count is what he should be expecting. And of course, the Phoenixes are more mobile. We do see the Fleet Beacon is going to be finishing soon for KroLu. What are we going to be seeing out of it for MaNa? I'm not sure, but the Fleet Beacon just about to finish here. Of course, this will allow him to get the level 2 upgrades for weapons and armor for his air units. And now the Phoenixes are going to be coming in, and this is the best way MaNa can equalize damage. DT is not quite going to do it because of the cannons. And wow, he's going to kill a lot of probes here. Photon Overcharge is going to go. Looks like MaNa is going to lose 1 Phoenix there, and 2 Phoenix going down. Will a third one? Probably. No, actually it is not going down, and we do have actually Phoenix range coming out for KroLu and MaNa, so this is going to be actually pretty cool. We also have the +1 here. 4 air weapons on the way from MaNa. KroLu a little bit ahead in that regard. He's going to have +1/+1 to finish, which gives him a very good timing. MaNa's going to have to use this ridiculous Phoenix count to his advantage. 10 Phoenixes versus the 4 Phoenixes and 10 Void Rays of KroLu. However, 10 Void Rays, that is a freaking ton of Void Rays, especially with that +1 upgrade. And he's going to try to, counteract that. He's triple producing Phoenixes. He's definitely going to be able to overcome the Void Ray count pretty soon. He's got to make sure not to lose these Phoenixes, though, and he's doing a pretty good job. Looks like 2 of them are going to go down the range upgrade finishing for those Phoenixes, and you can actually see how good that is. MaNa actually ended up losing a couple Phoenixes there. Now back down to 10 after 3 came out of that Stargate, and KroLu looks like he is going to be pushing out. Didn't actually get any upgrades off of the Forge, instead focusing on the air, and of course it's very difficult to afford both and double produced Void Rays out of a Stargate. We see both these guys have their minerals and gas very low. They're macroing up the biggest Skytoss army that they can. This Colossus actually didn't research range, so it's not the biggest investment from MaNa. He probably just wanted to use it to break any potential force fields and, of course, deal that splash damage in the close quarters that is Cloud Kingdom. But as we saw, that timing attack didn't work out for him. KroLu going to be coming in here now. It's going to be Phoenix on Phoenix, but KroLu has a pretty big upgrade advantage, 1-1 against the 0-0 of his opponents. Therefore, the Phoenixes are going to be massively powerful. The Void Rays not really going to be able to get picked off because they have that great Phoenix coverage, and now there really just is not a lot left for MaNa. Tons of Immortals coming in here. They can't even use... the Colossus can't even use any range advantage against those Immortals. And it looks like pretty much all of MaNa's army is going to be taken out. His third base completely denied. KroLu rolling in here with a 69 army supply advantage. And it doesn't look like MaNa's going to be able to stop it. His +1 has finished on these Phoenixes now, but he's still quite a bit behind KroLu. And now KroLu is just kind of, I guess, waiting for a couple reinforcements. There's really nothing stopping him from pushing in. The Immortals alone are going to be able to take on these cannons. They are pretty good against them, and that is GG from MaNa. The Phoenix harassment doing wonders for KroLu, and actually keeping all those Phoenix alive really helped him defend this push here. So that is a very important lesson on how Phoenix retention can help you in PvP. We do see a hidden base down here for MaNa. It didn't quite have the effect that it wanted because, of course, he was killed before any economic advantage could be gained. So that, my friends, was a Heart of the Swarm PvZ. I'm going to be getting a lot more Heart of the Swarm casts for you up on this channel. I'm sorry it's kind of so few and far between. The way my time works is that I pretty much have time to cast every 3 days, and it's really unfortunate. So I'll see if I can squeeze a couple more games out tonight if I have time. I appreciate you watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I am very close to that 200 mark that will allow me to get that partnership so I can customize the channel, make it nice, pretty, and easy to use for you. And I am just boxing the crap out of this waypoint. Look, the color changes. That's a lot of fun. I'll see you guys at the next cast. Word up.